If you're trying to improve at PvP in Shindo life, one thing you absolutely need in your moveset is reliable immobilization. Damage is important, but if I can't keep my opponent in place, it's much harder for me to actually convert that damage into a combo. So today, I'm going over some of the must-have immobilizing PvP moves I recommend having in your moveset. I'm not ranking these because each move can be useful in completely different situations. Move 1, Senko, Time Stop. Let's start with Senko's Time Stop. This is one of those moves I always like having available because it gives me a straightforward way to lock my opponent down. If I manage to catch them with it, I can use that opening to start a combo or connect another ability that would normally be difficult to land. The biggest advantage is how simple the concept is. I immobilize my opponent, and suddenly I have the opportunity to control the next part of the fight. That's exactly what I want from a PvP stun. And speaking of reliable combo starters, there's another move that deserves a spot on this list. Move 2, Sean Karada, First Move. This is another move that's extremely useful when I'm looking for reliable immobilization. I can use it as a combo starter and immediately put pressure on my opponent instead of relying entirely on raw damage. It's especially useful when I'm trying to force an opening against someone who's constantly moving around. If I'm building a moveset specifically around combo potential, this is definitely one I want to consider. But sometimes, instead of forcing an opening myself, I can punish my opponent for attacking me. Move 3, Doku Tengoku, 128 palm counter. That's where Doku Tengoku's 128 palm counter comes in. Unlike a normal stun, this one gives me immobilization through a counter. That means I don't necessarily have to chase my opponent down and force the opening myself. If they attack into my counter, I get the opportunity to stun them and turn their aggression into my advantage. This is especially useful for players who like playing defensively and punishing predictable attacks. And if you prefer catching opponents without relying on a direct counter, there's another option worth looking at. Move 4, Bankai Yakuma, Tsukuyomi. Next up is Bankai Akuma's second move. This is one of the classic stun options that deserves attention when we're specifically talking about immobilization. The important part isn't just the damage, it's the fact that once I catch someone, I get a window where they're unable to freely move, giving me an opportunity to continue my combo. That makes it much more valuable than a simple damage ability. Of course, catching a moving player isn't always easy, which is why having more area coverage can make a huge difference. Move 5, Satori Akuma, third move. That's where Satori Akuma's third move comes into play. One of its biggest advantages is the area it can cover. Instead of requiring extremely precise targeting, I can use the move to catch opponents within its effective area and turn that opening into a combo opportunity. This is especially helpful when my opponent is constantly moving around me, and I don't want to rely entirely on pinpoint accuracy. Now, bloodlines aren't the only way I can add immobilization to my moveset. Move 6, Skull Crusher. Moving over to Taijutsu, we have Skull Crusher. This is exactly the type of move I want when I'm looking for a close-range combo starter. Once I catch my opponent, I can use the stun to create an opening for the rest of my moveset. It also works really well for players who prefer aggressive close-range combat. Instead of depending entirely on my bloodlines, I can use a Taijutsu move to add another source of crowd control, and that becomes even more useful when I want to maintain pressure after getting into close range. Move 7, Narumaki Barrage. That's where Narumaki Barrage comes in. This is useful when I'm already close to my opponent and need a way to keep them locked down instead of simply knocking them away. That makes it much easier to continue pressure rather than having to chase my opponent after every attack. And that's something I think a lot of newer PvP players overlook. A move doesn't have to deal insane damage to be valuable. If it gives me control over my opponent's movement, it can be the move that allows the rest of my kit to work. And if I want another close-range option to round out that kind of setup, there's one more move worth mentioning. Move 8, Joki Fist. Finally, we have Joki Fist. This is another martial arts option worth considering if I want more close-range control in my moveset. The main reason I like having moves like this available is because they give me another way to create an opening without depending entirely on my bloodlines. So if I'm putting together a PvP moveset, I don't just ask myself, how much damage does this move do? I'm asking, what happens if this move lands? If the answer is that my opponent becomes immobilized and I can immediately convert that opening into a combo, then that move has serious value. And that's exactly why these immobilizing moves are so important. I don't need every single ability in my moveset to deal massive damage. I need enough reliable CC to actually create openings and control the fight. So if you're struggling with PvP, try looking at your moveset from that perspective. Instead of only adding more damage, give yourself a few reliable ways to stop your opponent in their tracks. Once you start consistently landing those openings, your combos become much easier to execute. And that's what makes a good immobilizing move so valuable in PvP.